Unit 3, Reading. Pre-reading. Before we start the reading, look at the following crimes. A crime is an act against the law, when you break the rules. Discuss how common, how frequently do they happen, how common they are, and rank them, sort them in order of seriousness. In order of seriousness means the one that is very dangerous, you put it first, and the one that is less dangerous, you put it after. Serious means it's very bad, it's very dangerous. Kidnapping. When you kidnap, you take a person, not money, not a car, you take a person for money. You keep him with you until their family pay money. Murder is when somebody kills another on purpose. Blackmail is when you ask for money in return of not telling a secret. I will not tell anyone if you give me some money. That's blackmail. Fraud is when you deceive and lie to people in order to get something like money. Theft is when you steal. Forgery is when you fake money or a document. You have a fake passport. That's forgery. Hacking is when you enter a system illegally. Now, which of these are more common and which of them are more serious? I think theft is quite common. It happens a lot, with murder and kidnapping being less common. In my opinion, murder and kidnapping are much worse. They are more serious than the other crimes listed. Reading for gist. Read the texts A to F quickly. Which of the following is the best summary sentence for all 6 texts? Summary sentence is one sentence that contains the whole ideas of all 6 texts. A. Most people sympathize. When you sympathize, you feel sorry with unlucky criminals. A criminal is someone who commits crime. Stupidity, being stupid, doesn't pay, will not do you any good. And neither does stress. Also, stress will not do you any good when you worry so much. Stupid criminals are always punished by the law. Punished, they suffer because they've done something bad. By the law, the system the government uses in a country. Stress and stupidity are serious crimes, very bad crimes. Now, read the introduction. Somebody once said that crime doesn't pay, crime will not do you any good. Was he thinking of the robber, the one who said this, crime doesn't pay? Was he thinking of the robber? A robber is someone who steals using a weapon. Give me the money or I'll shoot you, I'll kill you. Who broke into, when you break into a place, you illegally enter a shop only to make off, only to run away with an empty cash register. This is a cash register where you keep the cash. Television and the internet are full of stories about criminals who do inexplicable or simply stupid things. Inexplicable cannot be explained. Why is it that so many would-be crimes, actions that are supposed to be crimes, end in disaster, catastrophe, for those trying to commit them? Commit them, do them. You don't say do crime, you say commit crime. And why do we find it so funny? There is of course the joy of seeing a villain, a criminal, punished by his or her own stupidity, if not by the law. 6 stories about stupid criminals. A. Two men from Michigan, USA. Michigan is a state in the United States of America, were in desperate need of money. They needed money a lot and decided to turn to crime to solve their financial difficulties, to end their money problems. After thinking about it for a while, they ended their thinking that their best bet, the best thing that would get the money, would be to hold up. Hold up means rob. The best solution is to rob an electronics store, as the security there would not be too tight, not a lot of security. They can run away with it. If everything went well as planned, they would move on to bigger businesses like supermarkets, and why not even banks in the future if they succeeded in robbing this electronics store. On the day of the robbery, the two men felt extremely nervous, very worried, as this was going to be their first attempt, the first time they tried doing this at armed robbery, robbing a place using a weapon. Nonetheless, anyway, they decided to go through with their plan, to go on and continue doing this difficult thing. The robbers rushed into the store, moved quickly into the store, and as they were waving the revolvers, they were showing them to everybody. Revolvers, guns with a revolving chamber, spinning chamber around. The first one shouted to the terrified assistant and customers, terrified, very scared. Assistant, someone who works at the electronics store or any store, and customers, people who are shopping and buying things. Nobody move or we shoot. Unfortunately, when his nervous partner moved, the first robber immediately shot him. He shot his own partner because he moved. He was very nervous. He couldn't focus on what he was doing. B. A young man in Seattle, USA, wanted to go for a nice long drive with his best friend. Unfortunately, he had no money for petrol, for gas, for gasoline, so he decided to steal petrol from a motorhome. This is a motorhome. By putting this into the tank and steal the petrol. The police later found a very ill man curled up, sitting like this with his arms and his legs close to his body next to the motorhome near spilled sewage. Sewage, can you believe it? Do you know what sewage is? Sewage is wastewater. After you're done using the bathroom, the water you used becomes sewage. Spilt, it was on the ground. Later, the man explained to the police that instead of putting the hose into the petrol tank, he didn't do this, he did this instead. He put it into the motorhome's sewage tank by mistake. The owner of the motorhome didn't press charges, didn't take them to trial, because, as he said, he hadn't laughed so hard before in his life. It was so funny. Instead of stealing petrol, they stole sewage. Daniel Woods from Plymouth, England, decided to buy a new car, so he placed an advertisement in the newspaper, to sell his old car, which he no longer needed. Unfortunately, though, he had to call the police a few days later to report the theft, to tell them about the theft of his old car. He didn't know if he would ever see it again. Luckily, he remembered to tell the police that he had left his mobile phone in the car. The detective is someone who is trying to solve a crime, who was investigating, who was working on this case, on this crime, and trying to solve it, called the phone number. He told the man who answered it about the ad in the newspaper, and he pretended that he wanted to buy the car. When you pretend, you show people that you want to do something, but you have a different intention. They arranged to meet, and the thief was immediately arrested, was taken to the police station. A woman in New York was just leaving a convenience store. A convenience store is very similar to a grocery store, but it works for more hours, extended hours. When a man seized her handbag, somebody stole, grabbed her handbag and ran. The incident, the crime, was witnessed. Somebody saw it by an employee, somebody who worked for the convenience store, who quickly called the police and gave them a description. He told them what the criminal looked like. Was he tall? Was he short? Soon, the police arrested the suspect. Suspect is someone who we think that he is the criminal, and drove him back to the store. They took him out of the car and told him to stand there for identification. Identification is when the woman looks at him and say if he is the criminal or not. Because he is now just a suspect, we don't know yet. The woman is the only one who can say if he is the criminal or not. The thief pointed to the woman and told the policeman, "Yes, officer." Officer is a policeman, someone who works for the police. "That's her. That's the lady I stole the handbag from." He is stupid. He was supposed to shut up, and the woman was supposed to be the one who says that if he is the criminal or not. In Indiana, United States of America, a man left his house early one morning to go grocery shopping, buy some milk, vegetables, bread. After he chose the items, the things he wanted to buy, he made his way to the till. He moved toward the cash register. He took out his wallet. Wallet is where you put your money when you keep it in your pocket to pay, and while he was waiting for his change is when you give the cashier 100 Saudi riyals in one note and you bought things worth only 50 riyals, so you wait for the other 50. The cashier will have to break it and give you 50. He noticed he was the only customer in the shop. Suddenly, he was overcome by a strange desire. He couldn't help but feel a very strong wish. He wished to rob the place. Without thinking about it, he demanded, he asked and insisted that he gets all the cash, all the money from the grocery till, from the cash register. The cashier handed it to him, gave him the money, and he made his getaway. He ran away, leaving his wallet on the counter with all his identification. The police didn't find it difficult to catch him because he was stupid, and he left his wallet with his ID, his driver license probably. It seems that stress reduces one's ability. Reduce is the opposite of increase, make it less, to deal with new situations or ideas. This happened to a man from Illinois, USA, who kidnapped a motorist, a car driver, by pretending to have a gun. Pretending, he didn't actually have a gun, he pretended. He showed that he had a gun, but he actually didn't have a gun. He forced the driver, he used power to make the driver take him to two different cash points, ATM machines, where he withdrew money. He took money from the machine, from the ATM machine, from his own account. From his account. He didn't steal any money. He took money from his account. Instead of trying to understand the new situation and behave and act in an appropriate way, the man continued to behave as before. He went to another ATM machine and he withdrew money from his own account. Why did he do that? He was very nervous. He didn't focus. Out of habit. It was just a habit to withdraw money from your account. So which sentence is the best summary for all 6 texts? It's B. Stupidity doesn't pay and neither does stress. Because these people were under a lot of stress, they couldn't act. They couldn't finish their crimes. Now read the text again and answer the questions 1 to 15. Write A to F in the boxes. Which criminal remained at the scene? He didn't move from the place where he committed crime until the police found him. That's B. The police found him curled up next to the motorhome. Who left behind evidence? Evidence is something that the police uses to find the criminal that led to his arrest. That's E. He left his wallet. Who decided to commit a crime? Spontaneously. Spontaneously means with no planning. That's E. He found no customers in the store and he thought to himself, why don't I just rob the place? Who planned to commit more similar crimes? That's A. They wanted to start with the electronics store, but they had the intention of stealing from supermarkets and even banks in the future. Who never went to jail, to prison, because his attempted crime was so amusing, so entertaining, so funny? That's B. He stole sewage. Who misunderstood, failed to understand police instructions? That's D. When the police asked them to stand for identification, he said that he stole money from that woman. Who was arrested because the victim is the one whose money was stolen or who was kidnapped or who was killed, left something important behind? That's C. He left his mobile phone in the car. Who injured, hurt his own partner? That's A. He shot his partner because he moved. Who confessed? When you confess, you tell the truth that you've done something bad. To his own crime? That's D. That's the lady I stole the handbag from. I stole the handbag. That's confession. Who tried to sell stolen property? Property is something that you own. That's C. He stole a car and then he tried to sell the car he stole. Which criminal only took what was his already? That's F. He withdrew money from his own account. Who thought the target, the object of attack, would be easy? That's A. They thought that they would steal the electronics store and move on to bigger businesses. Who made the victim believe he had a weapon? A weapon like a gun or a knife? That's F. He pretended to have a weapon, a gun. Who was arrested after the police were told what he looked like? That's D. An employee gave the description to the police. Who was too used to thinking like an honest person? Honest person is the opposite of criminal, to commit a crime. That's F. Out of habit, just like he always does, he withdrew money from his own account. Match the words with the meanings. Inexplicable, it means it cannot be explained. Villain, criminal. Curled up, G, lying in a position with arms and legs close to the body. Seized, grabbed. Get away, run away, escape. Withdrew, the opposite of withdraw, means A, he took out money. Break into, E, to enter by force, illegally. When you make off, you run away, leave quickly. Hold up, when you rob a place. Here, hold up, the same as rob. Go through with, you go on and continue something difficult. Pick out, B, you choose. Now, make up your own funny crime story. When you make something up, that means it's not true. Using one of the following openers. An off-duty police officer was off-duty, wasn't wearing his uniform, wasn't working. The thief thought it was a brilliant idea to disguise himself using, when you disguise, you try to change your appearance. A thief attempted to break into what he thought was a deserted car. Deserted, nobody was using it. After leaving an electronics store with his loot with the money he stole, the thief realized. A robber decided to get into a bank by breaking a street-level window, a window that wasn't very high. We will use this one, deserted car. A thief attempted to break into what he thought was a deserted car. This is how we should start, using this opener. However, what he didn't know was that the owner of the car was just taking a nap. He was sleeping in the back seat. The thief got into the car, managed to start it, and was driving to his house to hide the car. When he decided he wanted to do some shopping, he parked the car outside a supermarket and went in to do his shopping. Meanwhile, the owner of the car woke up to find himself far from where he had originally parked. After a few minutes, he guessed what had happened. He took out his mobile phone and notified the police, who came immediately, and when the thief came out of the supermarket with his groceries, he was arrested. Thank you for watching this video. If you like it, please share it with friends. I'll see you again next time, inshallah. Goodbye.